All right, guys, let's start to clear it out, please. Pictures next.
They can't roll the markers.
My name is S.S. Hahn, and I have a court order for the immediate release of all women being detained in this institution under the designation Code 12.
I used to be a reporter for many years. I worked for the Los Angeles Times, and a source that I had at the City Hall called one day and said, there's something you should take a look at before we put it into the fire. So I zoomed down to City Hall, and they had the transcript of the City Council welfare hearings in the case of Christine Collins. And I began reading the transcript of the testimony and thought, after a while, this can't actually have happened. This has got to be a mistake somehow. But I got enough information to get started, and then spent about a year researching the story until I finally got all the details worked out, and I got it done fairly short order.
I read it, liked the subject matter, found the culture of what happened in this incident to be fascinating and in some ways appalling, and but it captivated me. And I bought the script and, you know, created a list like everybody of the top directors in the world. And I started with a dream and got it.
Ron Howard and Brian Grazer called and said we had this script. And I said, well, let me take a look at it. And I took it with me on a trip to Berlin. And on the way back on the plane, I read it, and I liked it a lot. So as soon as I got in, I called them and said, yeah, I'll do this.
If it wasn't a real story, I don't think anybody would buy the script. I think you would just think it's too much. It's not realistic enough to be a movie. And then I found myself telling everybody the entire story. Everybody I could get their ear, I would, because I couldn't get it out of my mind.
They said that Angelina Jolie had liked the script and wanted to do it. Who would you like? I said, she'd be great. I like her work a lot. So that's how it all came about. Very quick and simple.
Anytime. Just slowly move around. Stop.
What Clint Eastwood has that's different than anybody that I've ever worked with is sort of an instinctual certainty.
I'll just direct like the way I like to be directed.
Marker. Okay. Set. Go ahead.
He doesn't even call action. He has a very just subtle way of saying, which took me a while, because he would say, and move forward.
Okay.
That's a technique I've learned from working in Westerns over the years. The director yell, action, and the actors get tense and they squeeze the horse. And then, of course, the horses would all go every which way, and there'd be nobody left in the frame. So I said, can't you use some other word?
By saying action, it's kind of like start, now, go. Let's get this over with. We'll give you a moment just to make sure that you're in that state of mind. And then he'll say, whenever you're ready.
On that word action, you suddenly go from being a regular person to, ooh, I'm acting now.
Why not just crescendo into it rather than jolt your way in?
When I say Anthony, just be playing around. Relax and enjoy yourself. Go ahead, Anthony. Scratch the wall. Hey, there you are. It's supposed to be like that.
Don't like scream or do any of that kind of stuff. Just take your time, do everything the way you need it to be done.
First one to the corner gets ice cream.
Okay. Good, huh? Everything I do as a director is based upon what I prefer as an actor. And I like to bring what I'm going to bring to the table, and then if the director doesn't like it, you know, critique it and tell me where he thinks something could be added or something could be subtracted.
It's the stuff of legend. And it gives you a very good sense of, we won't be waiting around forever. He's not going to take, you know, hours and hours and hours to make up his mind. He knows what he wants.
He doesn't give you his panic and his pressure. A leader has to sort of keep that for themselves and find a way to keep your eye on the prize.
Yes.
One of the ways that his supreme coolness presents itself is that he just believes it's going to happen.
Great stuff.
For me, the great surprise was that he was so much fun to be around. Really funny guy. And all these people that worked for him for, 20, 30 years, he keeps things moving forward in a really buoyant way.
We were taught how to do a screen punch by Clint Eastwood, which isn't bad.
You'd think you're enough trouble with the law already, being a whore, wouldn't you?
And, he very gently took us through it, and he kind of just kind of, And then he showed me how to react. It was just,
That was kind of a great moment as an actor, just for fun. It goes back to like playing cops and robbers as a kid, but also to learn your stunts from Clint Eastwood is pretty top shelf.
I don't think I want to do any other films without him.
Angelina said to me, I'm telling you this seriously, Brian, that I don't want to work with any other director, but I actually mean it.
I've already called my representation and said, whatever it is you want me to do in the future, if he's not directing it, we may have a problem.
Happy ending now.
One, I want him to just be my director, and two, I want him to be my dad.
You know, it's funny, I idolized Clint Eastwood as a kid as this guy who I saw on screen, and just watching these incredible movies and just being like, God, I want to be like that guy.
Okay, stop.
He's Clint Eastwood. He's Dirty Harry and the Oscar-winning director.
I have no secrets. There are no secrets in the world.
Continue on down a couple floors.
I think don't shut yourself off to any influence that might come in that might be pro the project, and be ready to shut yourself off at any influence that comes in that might be negative to the project. Yeah, handle it. The hell with it.
You don't work in front of a camera for 50 years and not learn something.
Roll sound.
Period stuff is fun.
In Clint's films, all of the costumes have to be believable, because the first thing that we're doing is trying to tell a story. In the 20s, it was this straight and simple silhouette. It was a boyish figure. We were just getting out of corsets. It was basically chestless, waistless, hipless.
To put on those clothes, that's kind of all you have to do. You know, the detail and the stitching and the buttons, and they don't make clothes like that anymore.
We've got lines jammed from Ohio. He says he needs to speak to somebody in charge.
This movie is a working class movie, so all the clothes have to reflect that. They were almost in a depression, so where they would probably find their fashion would be from the Sears and Roebuck's catalog.
They dressed up more back then. They took care of their clothes. They didn't have as much clothes as we had now.
What I've realized about wearing clothing like this is, as you can see, it's going to be a three-piece suit. There's the vest, there's the tie, there's the collar. It was a process to get dressed. It wasn't you just threw on a t-shirt and jeans like today. I mean, it was a true process. Going to the bathroom, there's a process. You gotta take this off, you gotta take the suspenders off. You have to actually book ahead of time when you want to go to the loo.
I am a movie star, and I don't want you guys touching me.
So it's so neat, like all the buttons, and underwear has like 7 buttons on it. Everything feels like it's adjustable, and it's really comfortable. You feel really sharp in it.
It's weird because I've never actually seen those kind of clothes worn on people. So it's cool when you go to set and everyone is dressed like that.
Everyday clothing or a slice of life is a little bit more difficult than doing glamour. You have to make sure that you don't go too far. There are no clothes that should stand out and say, I'm a costume, you know. They have to blend, and that's what I tried to do in this movie.
It's pretty hard to recreate Los Angeles because LA has had this tremendous sort of evolution or facelift, and for the good of Los Angeles, certainly. But in no way do the structures look anything like they looked in 1928.
Roll sound. Come ahead, everyone.
Yeah, we were on a real location downtown Los Angeles, and suddenly this one stunning building, this brick building, you know, from that era, and I was like, when did that arrive? But it's always been there amid, you know, freeways and high-rise. So it's nice. I mean, LA still has those pockets of, you know, authenticity.
I think downtown Los Angeles has changed so much, and right now it's empty and it's not alive like it used to be. So that was Los Angeles in the 28. It was just a hustling, bustling city.
There's like 1 or 2 buildings that we could use, but basically, you've got to help it along.
Background.
The challenge was City Hall because we had to get rid of so many contemporary, like parking meters and newsstands.
It's the only building as it stands in Los Angeles. They've kept it for many years.
Where do you live, Walter? You know your home address?
I live at 210 Avenue 23, Los Angeles, California.
The house that Christine actually raised her son Walter in is now covered by a freeway. So we had to find another neighborhood that would double for that.
We had to do very, very little to the street to put it to the correct period. You know, remove a satellite dish here or maybe a modern mailbox there, but it really lent itself. And when you see the film, you'll just go, wow, this place looks great.
The biggest challenge in finding a place to shoot was finding houses where there weren't fences. Because in the last 20, 30 years, we have become a fenced-in nation. We don't sit in the front porches anymore. We've walled up the front yard, and we stay inside the house or in the backyard. And it was a time when we were more open, when we sat out on the front stoop and watched the world go by.
The train station during this period for the film doesn't exist anymore. Union Station in downtown was actually completed in 1939. So the train station in the film was actually the train station in San Bernardino. And that was built in 1916.
They did have red cars going everywhere. This is their streetcar system. It was very popular at that time. And in fact, I never could understand quite why they took it out, because it was electric, didn't throw off any carbon monoxide. Went all the way out to Pasadena, they went all the way out to Santa Monica. They were very popular.
Action!
So we had to recreate that. We had to bring that in. And so we restored a couple of them and used them for different angles and stuff.
I think that was when LA was probably at its best, around that time. It's kind of sad because it was so beautiful. And the world just was slower.
There you go. Yeah.
The next setup, which is the crew photo, is the actual last setup of the entire movie.
Come on, Goofy.
I worked in television for 20+ years, and this is my first feature film. And to have your first film directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Angelina Jolie and John Malkovich, what do you do? What do you say? It's a dream.
Thanks very much, all of you, for being involved with this movie. And see you all in room 18.
Hello, my name is Christine Collins. Good morning. On March 10th, my 9-year-old son, Walter Collins, disappeared.
She's just a woman who I came through reading her story and reading articles about her, came to admire.
They told me and all of you that this boy was my son. He was not my son.
I just read this script and couldn't stop reading, and when she'd get back up, I'd think, good, you're back up. And then when this happened to her, I'd think, I hope you do something about that.
And I hope that this now will persuade them to finish what they started and bring my son home to me. Thank you very much.
Up against the wall. Come. All right. Got it. Got it. Look.
She was just an ordinary working lady.
All right, sit down. Your breakfast is getting cold. Cereal.
As a telephone operator. And all this wild stuff happened to her.
He's alive, Mrs. Collins.
The 20s is actually very nice for this period. I found it very fitting. And I say that in talking about character because to get into the wardrobe was the first thing I did, and it really helped me to be her.
Mrs. Collins, listen to me. I understand. You're feeling a little uncertain right now, and that's to be expected. Boy this age, he changes so fast.
That is not Walter.
We sat down and we spoke about her character, and she did want to play a maternal character, you know, feminine. So that part she wanted to do. Because it is a true story, we went back to the actual research of the real Christine, and we tried to pull some of her characteristics and brought them to Angelina's character.
Walter's time to come in, honey.
There was something about the clothes that are very sweet. They're kind of doll clothes, and they kind of make you feel a little softer, and the little garter belts and little shoes, and there's something just so delicate, and you find yourself with your gloves on, and you just, something happens as a lady. And then the funnier side of the period was having to roller skate while being a telephone operator, which I found one of the funniest things I've ever done in my career.
The skates that we actually got for her were the clip-on skates with the keys, you know, and you just add them to your shoes.
Which is great that it's in, because there's some like kind of nutty 20s things that people did, because they roller skated with heels on. So it was feminine.
Hello, this is the supervisor. How can I help you?
I love this blazer, and it's a 20s style jacket with the dropped waistline. Actually, she wore this in the movie when she went to visit the Reverend for the first time.
Reverend, I appreciate everything that you're doing and everything that you said, but I'm not on a mission. I just want my son home.
The 20s hats are very much like this. And there's something about that feels very, makes you feel very shy, and you end up hiding behind a lot.
When Walter was here, I used to walk by his room when he was sleeping. And even though I couldn't see him or hear him, I could feel him. That's why I don't think Walter's dead.
She liked to wear this hat. The hat is a cloche hat, and it fits closely to the head, and it fits right over her eyebrows. And she wore this many times in the movie.
Mr. Northcott, you asked me to come here. You said that if I did, you would tell me the truth about my son.
I didn't really think that you would come.
Now we've moved on to the 30s. We have a waist, you can see the waist, and we have a bust. So this silhouette is definitely more shapely and more feminine. It has decorative stitching, which was really popular of the 30s.
The winner is It Happened One Night.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
She loved this dress. She loved all the clothes.
Dinner is on me. It's quite an amazing journey that this real woman went through, and all the different things that happened to her.
Angelina is a tremendous actress, and she's very intuitive. And she kind of understands things, comes well prepared, loves to do the work, and gets it done very efficiently, which I love. She's right up my alley.